My name is Hartwig Harms. I'm coming from Germany, from Hermannsburg, and I have served the Mekane Yesus Church for almost 22 years. 7 years of that here in Mekane. It was a great surprise to get a call back to Mekane after having left Mekane almost 30 years ago. But when I heard the reason why I should come again, I was glad, and since my health permitted it in the moment, I gladly then tried, and I'm here and I'm helping and contributing in a course on writers, on authors for TEE, Theological Education in Extension. That is really my main concern. It was already so in IRA, where I have served the first 13 years. There I was the leader of the Onesimus Nesip school, and we started as all normal Bible school there. But soon then the revolution would start. I came to IRA in 1973. Next year already the revolution started. And it became more and more difficult for the evangelists and the pastors to go out, and for the ONS to train people. So we thought we have to do something else. We have to look for ways of training voluntary people who can do part of the work, who can teach, who can preach. And so I got the idea that we should have something like theological education by extension, a way which by that time was already proved for 30 years almost. Well, it was then in 1986 that I was called here to Mekane. I had as my major, and that was also the work of my dissertation, the church history. So I was called as a teacher for church history. And I have taught several courses in that subject, both on diploma level and on degree level. But here soon also something happened. The Mekane Seminary had already a TE department started by Dr. Blisi, and at that time Kees Tekla-Heimanot was in charge. And later then, when I came, it was Per Helge Muren, and a year after I came, he left his office. So I was certainly very much interested in this work, and that's why the seminary appointed me to that. It gave me a chance to try something, to start something which was in my mind since a long time. In Ethiopia, TEE was accepted by the church, by many congregations and synods, as a way of training people with low education. But I knew TE is not only a matter for people of low education. It is for all levels. My mission had given me a travel permission and a study allowance for California, where I studied for half a year the basics of TEE. And I knew PE can work at all levels, up to the doctoral level. And so I was very much interested to hear that the seminary board had already suggested to upgrade the TE program. And this was then my contribution here, that together with my colleagues, Arthur David was here already and Arthur Mekane, that we tried to work out to write materials for TEE on diploma level in English. This has been accepted then by the church and has been used for many years. So that was my main thrust here at the Mekane Seminary in regard to my work. But certainly there was more to my being here, this and the teaching, and there was a great fellowship which we had at that time with the colleagues. My neighbor was the principal, Kees Hartmut, and we had a deep friendship with the Schönherr family, with his family. On the other side of our dwelling, Kees Jonas Teresa was living with his family. Also there we had a good fellowship, and with Arthur Teresa and others. And we met from time to time for Bible study. That was very good. And also the junior lecturers were coming from time to time, like Kees Magasa, who had come very, very short time after me. Well, at that time, life here in Mekane was completely different from now. When I first visited the seminary, that was in 1972, during my language studies, I made a visit here. Mekane was way out of the town. It was a last building complex here, and after that there was only open field. Now I come back and everything is cramped. At that time we had a compound here with a few houses only, and the block with administration and teaching rooms and library, and the beautiful chapel in which we met almost every day. All this was very great, and one could have a wonderful walk. People at that time said it was the second best, second beautiful compound in Addis Ababa. Now I come and it's completely compound with a lot of buildings and much is going on. It's no quietness anymore. Outside the noise is there, and daytime also from inside. So definitely it's a different thing. At that time I and my wife could freely commute in the town, not only with the car which had been given to us, but also by taxi. I am lost nowadays when I see the transportation system, and I have to get help in order to come from one point to the other. So there has been a lot of changes in this respect. Also at that time, seminary was only theological department. Now there are 2 other colleges also, and it is growing, and that's one of the things which really make me happy. Because if it would still be the old thing, it would mean nothing really is alive. Life means change, development, and certainly that is going on here, not only for the surrounding, but also for the seminary and its internal life. I love to hear the music exercises because I have been a bit of a musician myself, though not necessarily with jazz, but it's great that this is also seen as a very important point. I am really surprised and I'm glad to see it again, though I'm an old man and in some ways now depend very much on the friendliness of other people to come and help me. One concern we had at that time was also that still there were too many foreign teachers. The principals were foreigners, missionaries, very long. And it was a constant concern, how do we get not only people with good teaching abilities, but also with the academic qualifications. And I'm so glad to see that this is no problem anymore, no concern anymore, that the full staff is Ethiopian. Even I had the pleasure to see in the last 2 years when I was here, the first Ethiopian principal. At that time we said Artu Ishetu, later he was Dr. Ishetu. So that's great that with that a new era has started. How was the relationship to the other people around? It was always friendly. We had a great helper in the house, and we had several contacts because my wife was a medical doctor, and so a lot of people came to ask her advice, and there was a kind of small clinic sometimes on the veranda, people waiting there and getting some medicine and advice. So that was a great thing. That I had finally to leave in 1993 was mainly due to the fact that my wife had developed cancer and passed away then shortly after that. So I went back with her to Germany, and also I had developed some diseases which needed frequent attention of doctors. So I was staying in Germany then, but still I am grateful to my mission, the Evangelical Lutheran Mission in Lower Saxony, that they gave me the charge half of my time to work for ECNY, for Mekane Yesus Seminary and ONS, especially for TEE work. And so during the next 20 years, I came back also from time to time when being called to courses or when there were special meetings. So I could keep the contact for almost 20 years quite regularly. The last 8, 9, 10 years it was quiet, but this will be now final visit of me, I guess, and I'm glad to have this chance.